have about 45 minutes before I leave my house for the day. I hope this this review, doesn't take nearly that long to do. Okay, so I want to do a movie review on Star Wars, The Force Awakens. And to begin, I'm going to try my best to be spoiler-free. There might be mild spoilers that don't give away a lot, but then you wouldn't be surprised to see it in the theater when you go see it, if you haven't seen it already. But, I'm going to try my best to not reveal the biggest points. Because I had the biggest point spoiled for me before I saw it. Okay, so, first thing I want to say is, I loved it. Absolutely loved it. Prior to my going to see the movie, I watched all of the other 6 to prepare myself for it, and I think that was a good idea. But also a bad idea. Because, I want to start by saying, I really enjoyed it because I went into the theater with a certain mindset. My older brother didn't enjoy it nearly as much as I did because he went into the theater with the opposite mindset I did. Now, before I continue, I'm going to end this by explaining what those are. There were... You know what? I'm going to start it. I don't know how I'm going to do this. Last night I tried to do this and it didn't turn out well because I couldn't get my brain together, and I honestly think that you shouldn't do a review of this movie until you've had at least 12 or more hours to let it sit. Because there are certain things in this movie that you should wait to process in your head. And you're going to have, revelations on why you didn't enjoy things and why you did enjoy things as time goes on. And I got out of the movie about 17 hours ago, if I'm doing math right, which I'm probably not, but I got out of the movie over 12 hours ago, and I honestly feel like I have a better grasp on what I'm going to say right now than I did an hour or 2 to 3 after the show. Now, let's go. I thoroughly enjoyed it. There were moments in this movie that I actually had tears come to my eyes because of. I honestly, just tears welled up in my eyes, and I was just like, oh my god, I'm gonna cry. And it wasn't because anything was sad. I wasn't actually sad. There were such nostalgic moments in this movie where I'm just like, oh my god. I can't even look at it because it reminds me so much of the other ones, and it made me emotional. And then there were there was a couple of times where my eyes welled up because, oh my god, this is such a good scene, holy crap. Now, before I continue, that was general. Now I'm going to explain the 2 mindsets you can go into this movie with. You can go into this movie with one of 2 mindsets. You can go into the movie with the mindset, I'm going to see Star Wars and I'm going to hope I enjoy it, or I'm going to enjoy this movie, but I'm hoping to see Star Wars. And as much as those 2 mindsets they think like you won't mean anything, like how you enjoy the movie or how you enjoy it as a Star Wars movie, it really, really does. Because I went into this movie like, I'm gonna see Star Wars and I hope I enjoy it because I hope I like this Star Wars movie. My brother went into the movie saying, I'm going to enjoy this movie for whatever reason. I'm definitely going to enjoy it, but I hope I see Star Wars. Is it really Star Wars? I thoroughly enjoyed it by going into the movie, knowing I was going to see Star Wars, and hoping I enjoyed it. Because it is Star Wars in name and in feeling and in emotion. But it's a different Star Wars. So going into the movie, hoping to see Star Wars, not knowing you're going to see Star Wars, really changes how you're going to see the movie. And I heard actually another reviewer say something similar. Because it's not the Star Wars you know. It really isn't. Because let's be legit right now. These are different characters. We're being trained to care about. Like, I'm going to put this in perspective. The first 4 movies that ever came out, 1977, 1980, and then I think it was like 1982 or 1983, maybe 1984. I forget when that one came out. I think it was 1982, but whatever. That does not matter. Those movies came out in the 80s, and it was the 70s and 80s. It was the middle of the series, 4, 5, and 6. And we already knew about Luke, Leia, and pretty much their relation to each other. We knew about Darth Vader, or Anakin, and we knew his relationship to them. We knew about Yoda, we knew about Han Solo, we knew about R2-D2 and C-3PO and Chewbacca. We knew all about them, and we already cared about them. So when the 1999, 2002, and 2005 movie prequels came out, Star Wars 1, 2, and 3, we already knew who these characters were, save for, like, Padme we didn't really know about because she died. But that's not a spoiler. If you didn't know about that, shit out of luck for you. But we didn't know anything about her. So there were some new characters, but the primary focus of the movie was Anakin, and we already knew what happened to him, essentially, because we knew he was Luke and Leia's father, and we knew he turned to the dark side. Maybe we didn't know it was Anakin at first, but we kind of subconsciously knew when we saw it. I mean, I'm 18. I wasn't alive when the first trilogy came out. I wasn't. But after I saw the second movie, actually, because I was 2 years old when the first one came out. I know I'm young. I'm very young. I watched all of the old ones and the first one. And then I saw the last one because I'm like, oh, now I just need to fill in, even though I know what's going to happen. Or I have a good idea of what's going to happen. I just need to fill it in and see it happen. Okay? So we already thoroughly cared about these characters when the prequels came out. And we already knew how these characters responded to certain situations, even though some things will always surprise us. Because any good movie, whatever anyone else tells you, I took a film class, this is basic film understanding, every movie is not about plot. No movie is about plot itself. Okay? Any good movie is good because the character's psychology and how the character reacts to things that happen to them drive the movie. If it's just plot that drives the movie is shit. Because every movie is character driven. Or every good movie is character driven. So we already knew how these characters responded to situations, and we were used to it. We were used to how they responded to situations, and we cared about them already, so we wanted them to succeed, and we wanted to see the story progress in a way that was familiar to us. Now, the 7th movie is a complete break from that. Not because there are no characters that are familiar, because Han Solo's in there. That's not a spoiler, you saw him. Chewbacca's in there. I mean, telling you who's in the movie isn't gonna, spoil anything, right? Leia's in there. C-3PO, R2-D2's in there. And, but they're not big parts of the movie. It's not like we have no familiar characters. It's basically these characters are in the movie. The ones that we know and love are there in order to hand it off to the next generation. Star Wars, the next generation. No, but it's true. I mean, Han Solo is a big deal in this movie. He's not the biggest deal, but he's a big deal. He's in for a good, long part in the movie. And he's important to the plot. But we know how he responds to situations because we saw him in the other movies. Okay? Does that make any sense? Hope it does. But there are such different characters now. Like Kylo Ren, Rey, Finn, Poe, BB-8. These characters are different. We've never met them before. Okay? We've never met them. And saying that is seriously important when you go see this movie. hearing all me talk about this is really important because I don't want you going into the movie trying to nitpick because the movie is so different than what we're used to. And that you have to keep that in mind when you're seeing this movie. Like Kylo Ren, he's on the dark side. I'm pretty sure that's not. And no one can, I'm sorry. I'm gonna destroy Kylo Ren because I hate him. I hate him as a character. But, like, I don't know if it's just because he's not what I'm used to. Because he's a Sith Lord. Or he's supposed to be a Sith Lord. But he's a whiny little brat. And it pisses me off. Because he's not what I envision a Sith Lord would be. And that's, for me, that's a problem. But I'm pretty sure the next time I see this movie, after thinking about all of these things, it won't bother me as much. Because I'll be like, Kylo Ren is not Darth Vader. He is not Darth Sidious. He is not a regular Sith Lord. He is not what I'm used to. And hearing me say that actually calms me down because I really don't like Kylo Ren. I really don't. But I have to keep in mind that he's not the typical Sith Lord that I'm used to. Like, Darth Sidious is all bad. Darth Vader, he was pretty much all bad, except at the beginning and the very end. He killed hundreds of thousands of people. But he went so dark so quickly that he didn't really have any way out. Kylo Ren is very different from him. Very, very different. And we have to keep that in mind, even though he is a whiny little baby and throws hissy fits. I think his character is going to make more sense when the next movie comes out, and probably I'll just calm down because when I see this movie the second time. Because he's a different character. He's a different Sith Lord. I have to get used to how he responds to situations and how he acts. Because when you first, like, honestly, if you were alive in 1977 and you saw the first Star Wars movie, were you used to how the characters responded to situations at that point? No, you weren't. It was a little weird at first. Like, oh, this is a little strange. I don't really know if I like that. But it's all like an acclimation. Like, you're getting used to it. You're getting acclimatized to how the characters are responding to situations. And like Rey, the girl, she doesn't respond the way Leia would. Or doesn't respond the way Luke would. I don't know. She's a very good character. She's a very strong character. She has strong ideals, and she's acted very well. I gotta be honest with you, she acted very well. But anyway, she is a good character. And right now, as much as she might bother me a little bit, but she doesn't really bother me that much, but she does bother me a little bit, and the whole feeling of the movie is weird because these characters are not who I'm used to. I know that it's going to get better as the series progresses, as long as they don't fuck it up, because J.J. Abrams directed this one, and oh my god. And Finn, these characters don't feel like the characters I know. And that might bother me a little bit, and it does bother me a little bit. But knowing that these characters are different and accepting that they're different from what I'm used to really helps me to understand why I had a problem with some of the things I did. And you can't go into the movie nitpicking everything you see. Because if you do, you'll find every single flaw in this movie. And believe me, there are unmistakable flaws in this movie. Like, Kylo Ren is the biggest flaw, and honestly, if he wasn't there or if he was written differently, I would have not noticed any of the other flaws. And I'm being totally honest with you. Because, like, it would be like, that's Star Wars. This is what I'm used to. But Kylo Ren is so bitchy. I really don't like him as a character right now. I really don't. But I think he'll get better. I'm hoping he gets better. But, like, I wouldn't have noticed it. because I went into the movie knowing I was seeing Star Wars and accepting that it's not going to be the same Star Wars. But my brother went into it hoping to see Star Wars, but expecting to enjoy the movie. And if you go into it trying to find things like, that happened, this didn't happen, I don't know why this is happening, such and such, and like, picking everything out of the movie that could potentially bother you as a Star Wars fan, you're really not going to enjoy the movie. Because you're not going to enjoy it as a Star Wars movie. Because as a movie itself, objectively, it's a good movie. It's a very good movie. But if you try to nitpick it as a Star Wars movie, you're going to think, like, oh, this isn't really Star Wars. But it is Star Wars. It's the next generation of the Jedi and the Sith. It's different. And the only reason we feel that it might not be Star Wars is because it's not what we're used to. It's not completely familiar yet. Because these characters are so different. And the movie, as much as shit is happening, every movie, and if you go back and watch the other movies, every single Star Wars movie is driven off of character psychology. Like, Anakin responded to situations that happened in his life with anger, which led him to the dark side. And shit happened. And all that shit happened. It makes sense. And Luke responded to situations in his life, sometimes with a little bit of anger, but he controlled himself, which led him to the light. And wanting to foster the Jedi like religion or way of life. And it makes sense to us. Right now, it doesn't make sense to us as Star Wars fans because these characters are very different and they're not the characters we're used to. And I know I'm going off on like 18 minutes about this, but it's very important for you to understand that when you go to see this movie. It is very important. And honestly, I think that's a good review right there. Because, well, I can continue with the review. I love the movie. I absolutely loved it. There were times in this movie where, oh my god, this feels like Star Wars. I almost started crying. And the fight scene at the end, that shit was awesome. I mean, that's not a spoiler, right? Because, like, there's gonna be a lightsaber battle. And it was so good. It was so nitty. It was so nitty-gritty. It was, like, down and dirty. It was, like, two people just trying to kill each other. And I'm just like, this is great, man. This is awesome. Because, like, it's literally, like, two people. I'm not going to tell you. You probably can figure out who the lightsaber battle is going to be between, but I don't care. The two people were literally just trying to kill each other. And it was because one of the characters is so conflicted within themselves, and the other one is so new and has no idea how she's going to control, how she's going to control anything, how she's going to control her powers or her developing powers. It's really, really good. Because the emotion and the unsurety and the uncertainty from both of the characters and confusion really drives the feeling of the scene. It really does. Because neither of the characters know what they're doing right now. And someone's so conflicted, the other one doesn't know how anything's going to work out or how she's going to, like, actually do this anymore. Like, do this. I know that sounds so vague, but really, it's two people who are so confused right now that they're just trying to kill each other and get it over with. And it's like, they know they have to protect themselves, and she's like, really like, I need to protect myself, and I need to protect, I can't say it. I need to do it. I need to do it because I know this is what I'm supposed to do, and I feel it's important for me to do. The other one's just like, I need to prove to someone that I can. And it's really, really good. The lightsaber battle is so good. I'm just like, Star Wars! Yeah, I was very excited about the lightsaber scene, if you could probably tell. But yeah, overall, the movie was really, really, really good, in my opinion. I really enjoyed it, but you have to keep in mind that it's not what you're used to, and you have to accept that before you see the movie. Because it's not the Star Wars we know and love, but it is Star Wars in name, in essence, and in feeling. Just know that it's not what if you go into this with incredibly high expectations and you're just like, oh my god, this is gonna be just a continuation of where we left off with all the characters I knew, because a lot of people actually thought that, and I'm like, no. Did you not see the trailers? It's been years. It's been a couple of decades since Return of the Jedi. And a lot of shit has happened in a couple of decades. And you have to accept that. It is different, it is new, and it's not the same characters we know and love. And you have to deal with that in your own way. You're gonna enjoy it. If you go into it knowing you're gonna see the continuation of Star Wars and hoping to enjoy it, you're gonna enjoy it because it's a good movie, and I believe it's a pretty good Star Wars movie. Now, I don't know what else to say. I just hope you listen to me, and I hope you don't go into the movie hoping and nitpicking and having these incredibly high expectations, because you're not gonna enjoy it like you should, and you're gonna end up hating the new trilogy. And honestly, I think it's gonna be a great trilogy. I just hope Kylo Ren dies, honestly. I don't like him. Anyway, yeah, so you'll enjoy it, and may the Force be with you.